What's going on, everybody? Today's video is going to be a little bit different format. I am going to be sharing my pickups from the last few days at the local coin shops with you guys, but I'm also going to touch on a few other topics. I'm going to add a few things into this one video. There's lots of things on my mind. It's just a little bit of a different type of format, like I stated, where I'm just going to touch on a few different things other than just sharing the coin shop pickups. I will do that in the beginning if that's what you're into, but today I'm also going to touch on a few different things to look for when you're in the coin shop. We're going to talk about fractionals a little bit. We're going to talk about 90% silver today. We're also going to talk about SHTF. It's a loaded video. It's probably going to be long. If you're into stacking silver, you have fun with this type of conversation, then stick around. I'll be sharing some tips with you guys and my thoughts, and I like the interaction down below. I'd like to hear what you guys think, but let's go ahead and jump right into my pickups the last few days from the local coin shops. And here we have a couple different variations of 1 ounce Engelhard silver bars. As you guys know, my favorite way to stack is to stack deals. So what I mean by that is I go into the coin shops, I look for stuff that's worth more than when I walk out of there. So not necessarily a buffalo round or eagle stacker, which I have no issue with that whatsoever. I don't think there's a problem with that. I think that's a great way to stack if that's what you have. But I'm fortunate to have coin shops around me where I go in and I look for what I like to call deals, and that's what I share. And I have a playlist on my channel, local pickups videos, and I share all the different types of stuff with you guys. And you know, after the fact, I look a lot of the older stuff up and see what it's worth. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't, but we have fun doing it. And this piece here, if I can get it to focus for you, is actually a coin. I believe this is a proof coin. This was in the generic bin there, and it has a value of $50 on it. There we go. We can zoom in a little bit better. A little bit older, but not too old. As you can see there, from 1991, $50. Republic of the Marshall Islands. It does not say 999 on it, but I did test it on the Sigma, and it does show 999. Normally, I would not purchase rounds that do not have 999 fine silver on them. This was an exception just because I thought it was cool. I do not have very many pieces or any that I can think of off the top of my head that don't state the purity on them. It's always good to get a piece that states the purity. This one even states the 31.1 grams, the 480 grains, 999 pure. This one is U.S. National Metals Inc. As you can see here, firm as the mountains, silver exchange unit, 1975. This is, you have seen this before. This is a common side I've seen on other rounds, different variations. That's common with the vintage bars and rounds, guys, where different people will utilize, different refiners will utilize one side that's common and then just put something on the other side, whether it's their business or their mint or whatever it is. But here is a 1 Silverado. You guys may have seen these Silverados in the past. Pretty cool piece. World Mint Corp. I know I have some of these in the stack already. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. Yeah, give you guys a nice look at these rounds as we're going through them. Here we have a nice South Dakota, 1988. I really like the looks of this one. This has a ton of detail. Let's see if I can hold it just right. Give you guys a second to check that scene out. Looks like a river there, steamboat, guy plowing the field. There's a lot going on there. South Dakota, that's a pretty cool silver round in my opinion. And then I picked up 3 of these. These are all the same. I just really like the design. They were beautiful condition. Silver of America. There you have the guy panning. Finest purity silver with the eagle there. Just a cool little round. I picked those up. And last but not least, for the recent coin shop pickups, we'll go ahead and zoom back out. I did go ahead and pick up a GSA Morgan, Carson City. This one is an 1884. Take a look at that. As you can see the COA, if you have not read these before, I'll hold that there. You can pause and read it if you'd like. And let's take a look at this 84. Pretty nice condition. I'll zoom back in. It is a nice frosty one, so you can see a little bit of chatter, but nothing deep. The cheek is pretty clean. I am definitely not a grading guy, but if I had to guess, I would probably guess a 63, possibly a 64. But like I said, the little bit of chatter there is not deep or anything, and with it being frosty, you could see it. But you know, I'd always say, you know, go maybe a grade lower than what you think. So it's probably a 63, probably. But I got it in the $200 range, so I was happy with the price that I paid on that one. So that's another GSA Carson City. I've been having fun with the coins. And speaking of coins, I've been pulling out a lot of coins, getting stuff together. I'm getting prepared for a PCGS submission video and some other coin video ideas that I'm going to be sharing when I get time. But the next thing I want to talk about is fractionals. If that may be one thing that when you're going into the coin shops, they may not always be out in the bins, guys. So what I would recommend to you guys is ask when you go in and say, hey, do you have any fractionals? A lot of the times they're going to take those fractionals and they're just going to send them off. It's kind of a pain for them to, you know, deal with the different sizes, trying to figure it all out. And a lot of times they just go right to the refiner. Obviously, if you've seen fractionals on the internet, whether you're on eBay or you're shopping on any of the online retailers, the premiums on them are ridiculous. And a lot of the times when you can get some fractionals, a lot of the times they're older collectible pieces. These aren't terribly old, but if you go ahead and check these Bullion Bank, these Griffin bars, on eBay, they hold a nice premium, and they come all different sizes. We got 1/4 ounce, we got 5 gram, 10 gram, there's another 5, 1/4, I think there's like tenths. Yeah, there's 1/10, there's quarters, there's just a handful of them here to show you guys. They're just really cool, really cool. If you wanted to take the time to sell, you know, fractional pieces online, you can do really, really well with them. Or you can just stack them back. If you like having fractionals, say you like to stack metals for SHTF, and we'll go into that a little bit more here in a minute, what my thoughts are on metals and SHTF. But here is a cool refinement 10 gram silver bar. Nice collectible piece there. Here we have a 1985 American Prospector. So this is an Engelhard Prospector. If you guys did not know, in 1985 they made fractional pieces. So if you are an Engelhard collector, you probably know. But if you're not, or if you're new getting into it and you want something cool to collect, you can go out and get all the different sizes in 1985. It's a cool little thing if you're an Engelhard fan. If you like collecting that type of stuff, keep your eye out for that. Here's a nice little 10 gram Engelhard bar. Very low serialization on that. Very purple in color. Comes off extremely dark in camera, of course. That's a nice toner right there, a little pendant. I'm sure that's probably pretty rare. And you never know what you're gonna find if you ask for fractionals at the coin shop, guys. That's just what I'm stating. And you know, you wouldn't think 5 gram bars sell for 20, 30 bucks. But they do, depending on what they are. There's a little Credit Suisse 5 gram, just different neat things. Maybe one thing that a little tip that I can tell you guys, if you're just getting into metals, ask those LCS people about their fractionals. Here's a bag of 1 gram Krugerrands. These are all from 2012. These are 1 gram, and these are Krugerrands. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Got these, you know, paid the same as you would per ounce for anything else at the coin shop. Here's another roll of half ounce vintage rounds. Look at these, guys. Honest, value never fails. We love the 1 ounce rounds. And yes, they made them in half ouncers too. Picked these up. Picked up 10 of these not that long ago. Was asking for fractionals. What do you have fractional? I've found Scottsdale fractionals, all different types of fractionals at the coin shop. And once again, if you have looked into purchasing fractionals online, you know it's crazy expensive. So pick them up when you can, while you can, at the coin shop. Hopefully you have some decent coin shops near you. So let's go ahead and talk about SHTF and stacking. Now, when it comes to SHTF, I'm not really a metal stacker. You can kind of see a box in the back. Let's go ahead and show you what that is. That is a box, that is a case of ammunition. And I'm showing you that today because if you are not a stacker of ammunition, I am going to highly recommend it. And, you know, that is a 1,000 round case of 9mm. As you can see over here, 9mm, 124 grain. A case of 9mm, 1,000 rounds goes for a little less than a 10-ounce silver bar right now. Just to give you a little background on that, I'm not gonna spend too much time on ammunition, but I will touch on it before I get to the 90% and even the 80% here. Ammunition is a great way to you know, if you're not into shooting, which I am, and I go through a lot of ammunition, but it's a nice thing to kick back to make money on, just to have. If you are into preps a little bit, if you are into SHTF, even if you aren't a big shooter, if you're just thinking about getting into maybe putting a few cases back to try to flip down the road, or just for whatever happens in the future with all the craziness in the world. You know, I'm not a gloom and doomer by any stretch of the imagination, but I also am prepared, but I am also a sportsman, and I go through a lot of ammunition, so it does not hurt me to have a lot on hand. I've been buying ammo, guns and ammo, since the 1990s. I've gone through countless rounds. I load my own stuff, but I've also flipped some back when there was some changes in administration and there was some changes in laws. If you can remember, the price of ammo about doubled. And that's one thing about ammo, guys, is it's good for pretty much ever, as long as you store it properly. It's not going to go bad as long as it's not getting damp and wet. It's not going to go bad, and it only goes up in price. All the ammo that I've purchased over the years, you know, I've over doubled my money on. There was times where I flipped a bunch of 9mm cases for 3 times the money when Obama came in. I think it was his first or second one. There was a lot of rumors regarding changes on gun laws, and I'm not getting political or anything. I'm just saying in certain situations like that, you can take advantage. So I made a bunch of money and flipped a bunch of ammo and bought a bunch of metal. So you can turn it back into metal too. Just another thing to keep in mind, especially when you think about it that way. Case of 9mm, basically the same price as a 10-ounce bar. You can go to budsgunshop.com. You can go to places like Widener's. If you Google Widener ammo, it'll pop right up. Places like that, it's a little bit cheaper to purchase cases of ammo. You can look for deals with free shipping. I think that case right there cost me maybe $260 something, $270 something shipped for 1,000 rounds of that 9mm, which is not too bad. If you are thinking about stacking ammo, the 9mm or the 223, which is the AR-15 round, or the 45 ACP are the most common rounds used. And those would be the ones that I would set back. The 9mm works good because it's the most common handgun round, and it's the price point of it is cheap enough to where you can pick up cases in the $200 some range, and you're not going to break the bank. And those would be easy to move anytime in the future. So just keep that in mind. You know, there are changes in the world. Once again, I'm not a gloom and doomer, but you know, there can be executive orders where they stop the sale of ammunition if a crazy war breaks off, or if there's political, you know, unrest and crazy stuff going on. There's things that can happen. Or if we get into a war, a lot of these manufacturers, you know, are going to be tied up, and it'll be maybe hard getting. And all you're going to do is benefit from that, to either have it if you're into hunting or sporting, or to have it to either barter or trade if you really do think an SHTF situation may happen. I think that's the number one thing to stack, because I think if we really truly were in an SHTF situation, the things that will be good aren't going to be metal. They are going to be things that we can actually use, whether to protect yourself, to hunt, to things like that. I really don't believe we're going to be in an end of world scenario, but would I want to get caught in an end of world scenario without anything? Of course not. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. So the reason I'm going to tie in government coins and 90% to this is because we have talked about SHTF, and that's one of the things that a lot of people say they stack 90% for. It's, you know, you can get something that's recognizable, you can get something that is fractional without having to pay those high premium costs. That's what usually people state, you know, if they are buying it for SHTF, which I'm not going to argue. What I will say, though, is if you have not, this will be easy for you guys out there that stack and that you have been around, but I bet if I really took a poll and you guys were 100% honest with me, if I asked you what the actual silver weight in a dime was, and a quarter was, and a half was, could you tell me? Could you tell me how many grams of silver, how many actual silver weight, without a calculator, without trying to figure it, without scratching your head and trying to remember 0.072339 actual silver weight in a dime, 2.5 grams a quarter, 0.1808. You know, I have a ridiculous memory, and I've been doing this for a really long time. That's what got me through college really easy, but not everybody can remember stuff that easy. And then the dollars are different. So instead of, you know, these are 0.77 in a dollar face. Just sit with somebody that knows nothing about silver and explain to them 90% silver in face dollars, and no, that's not an ounce. What is an ounce? What does that even mean? It's going to be, you're going to be very frustrated. You're going to be scratching your head. You're going to be just, you're going to be like, never mind. You know, obviously people can figure it out. They can get it. You know, these certain years are silver, these certain years aren't. It doesn't sound that complicated to us, but to people in a situation of SHTF, they're not going to know what the heck that means. You know, do you sell this by the ounce? What's the difference between an ounce, a troy ounce, a dime, a gram? Are we go by the gram? Are we going by the ounce? Is $1 an ounce? No, that's less than 3/4 of an ounce. You know what I mean? Just trying to explain that to somebody can definitely be a big pain in the butt. But I'm not saying don't get the 90%. I'm not saying it wouldn't be useful. I'm just, you know, it's food for thought. You know, I like to play the whole devil's advocate game with you. I like to test you guys. You know, if you look up the price per ounce, per gram, like, do you have to figure out how many grams are in these? Of course, we know $1.40 is close to an ounce, not quite an ounce, and not quite exactly an ounce, but not, you know what I mean? So it's close, you know, and what are you going to do in that situation? You know, what are you going to do in that situation? That's just food for thought. Like I stated regarding, you know, how are you going to do commerce? I mean, of course, you know, coinage like that would make sense because it's coins in a country that we've used before. We're going to recognize them. As far as knowing how much silver's in them, we have no idea. Most people wouldn't really know. You would just know, okay, this is what we're going to accept now. These actually have precious metals in them, so they're worth something, you know, other than the fiat currency, you know, wiping your back behind with it, you know, because it's going to be good for nothing. But let's talk about, you guys already know about 90%, but I added that just like I stated. There are new people out there and people that are considering, what should I pick up? Should I buy 90%? Should I not buy 90%? We're going to talk about Canadian silver for a minute just because I like it. I don't necessarily stack it. I collect it numismatically nowadays. This is a nice old AUBU roll from Golden Eagle Coin back in the day for really cheap. If you're not familiar with Canadian junk silver, I'll give you a quick rundown. The dimes, the quarters, and the halves are 80% from 1920 to 1967. The dollars are 80% from 1935 to 1967. There were a few war years where they did not make the dollar, but other than that, up to 67, they're all 80%. Now, if you live in the northern states, which I do, I'm here in Michigan, Canadian stuff is easy to come by. It's usually very, very cheap in the coin shops. It's fun to collect. But if you're looking at it as far as junk silver or possibly stacking it, I'm not going to recommend to anybody to stack anything other than pure silver. However, if you're into stacking other than pure silver, why would you think about Canadian coinage? Well, it is a little bit easier to figure out as far as actual silver weight, as the Canadian dollar has 0.6, a straight number, right? 0.6 of an ounce. A half ounce, or excuse me, a half dollar is 0.3, a quarter, 0.15, and so on to the dime. So it's easier. So 10 of these is 6 ounces. You know, that's a little bit easier to figure out, other than, you know, the 0.072339 on a dime and working your way up. And then the dollars being different with the 90%. You know, obviously 90% is a little more pure, but it's still not pure. So if you've been on the fence or you've never thought about Canadian silver, you know, give it a thought. It's widely recognizable in where I'm from, anyways, here in Michigan. And the 80%, or even if you're into stacking non-pure silver, it's a cool one to figure out. A little bit easier to figure out the ounces, as I just explained to you all, and the dollars are really, really fun. And if you're into numismatics, give Canadian coins a chance as far as dollar collecting, if you're into Morgan collecting as well, because they only did make them from 35 to 67. They took a break between 1940 and 44, but and then they are very rare compared to the Morgans. But there's only one year that's extremely valuable, that's hard to get, and that's the 1948. But even with a couple $1,000, you could get a really decent one. I know that's very expensive, but the majority of them are under $100, all the different years. So it's a fun one to collect if you're into collecting coins as well. So I've covered a ton of stuff on this video. I'd like to know what your guys' opinions are on a format like this, where I just kind of talk silver, I talk the collecting game, the stacking game, all different types of things, giving you guys just my opinions on things. I like the interactions down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about SHTF, about stacking, about my pickups, about Morgans, about ammunition. I touched on all sorts of stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.